Hello guys, Alan here and welcome to part 4 of the complete working drawing series here on YouTube. So today we are going to work on our file. Today we are going to do some little job in our file. So I'm going to open that file up. There we go. Just going to take a couple while to open up. And beautiful. So we have our file opened up. We have the ground floor plan opened up, and I remember in our previous video we kind of created our door and window tags. So we made all those tags for all our windows in there, where we had to go into the type mark and then indicate our labels over there, W1, D1, anyone we wanted to label. So we just went in there and then we labeled it. So if you're finding challenges or you are finding it weird to place in a door window tag, you would have to watch the part 3 of the episode. You have to watch episode 4, which is the part 3. You have to watch part 3 to actually get what happened in here. So make sure you don't miss any video. I've divided them into parts so you can take your time and practice along. All right, so now I'm going back into my first floor plan to see what's happening in there. Okay, so we placed all those tags in there as well. Beautiful. So I'm going back into my ground floor plan now. What I want us to place in now, it's our spot height, all right, our spot elevations, which is going to tell the contractor or anyone reading the drawing that from my ground level to my ground floor plan or to the actual floor plan over there, the spot height is 600. So they will need that indication on plan to be able to tell that. So that's what we are going to do right now. So we are going back into our ground floor plan and we are going to put our spot elevation in there. Now what I've seen most people do professionally is that they just place a plus symbol and then they write it, they indicate it all in each and every space. All right, so you can either do this, that's if you're coming from an AutoCAD background. So they just put in a plus symbol and then they write maybe 600, and so we have plus 600. This is too big enough, so we have plus 600 and I'm going to move this. So let's see, the spot height for this is 600 plus the spot elevation over there is 600. So I'm going to place that in there, and if let's say this space is also 600, I'm going to copy that, place it in there. But you will notice I have some spot heights. You will notice that I stepped some floor slabs down to actually preserve in case in that area should flood or have some water pouring in that area, it doesn't automatically walk in the space and gets into the living area. All right, so I stepped those floor slabs down about 450, about 150. So let me delete this out of the way. So Revit has automatically placed in a spot elevation for us, which we can use to place in each and every space. So we can go into the annotate tab. When we head straight into the annotate tab, we have it right here, spot elevation. Now you notice here is 600 and in the washroom is 450. All right, you notice in the washrooms is 450. It means I've stepped that place down 150. All right, just a step, so that in case the water should pour in that space, it doesn't just flow directly into the bedroom. At least it should collect the water in that space for a while before anybody occupying that space should notice. All right, so in this staff quarters we have 600, and then you notice inside the bathroom areas I have 450, in here I have 450, in the kitchen I have 450 as well, guest 450, and here you notice I have 600. All right, so it works all through. So here's all 600, all 600, all 600. All right, so we are going to place in our spot elevation. So we are just going to just click and then drop this in there, and we'll have to do the same thing for this area as well. So just click and drop this in there, and just drop this in the areas that you need to drop them in each and every space of yours. So here it's not saying 600,000 because it's taking the spot elevation of the chair, of the model chair we placed in as well. So we just want the floor slabs. All right, so we have to make sure you select the floor slab and place it in there. All right, it's conflicting with our room tag, so let's just push it down a little bit, and let's push it down a little bit, let's push it down a little bit as well. Perfect. So now let's place in more tags. Let's place in more tags in there, and this should be fine, and this area should also have that 450 in there, which is fine. So I can move this way so it doesn't conflict with the dimensions in there. So you notice we have a packed area in our spaces. All right, so we just select our floor, place it in there, 450. We are good to go. And another 450 here as well, and here is also 450. So I can literally copy this. All right, you can just copy this and save the stress. Just copy this and place this over there. All right, so it's picking from the wash hand basin. All right, so we have to delete that out of the way. You can copy and place it in there, but make sure the arrow doesn't point to the wash hand basin, then it wouldn't pick. So let me just go through the pane by placing it in there myself manually. All right, so I've selected this and placed it in there and move this down. Let me just place it in one more for this space. It's very important. So these are your spot elevations we are placing in there. So we are placing those spot elevations in those spaces, and head straight back into annotate spot elevation. And with this space, we'll indicate that we can indicate that by just writing it in there, because we don't have enough space to actually indicate all those in there. Our spaces in there are packed. All right, so escape that out of the way. We have to do the same thing for our first floor as well. So head straight into the first floor and just place in your spot elevations in there. The same thing for the master bedroom. You have to place it in there, bring it down, so we have it in there as well. It's just 4.4 meters. All right, so we have to do the same thing for this area as well. I don't want it to conflict with my dimensions. All right, I want my dimensions to be as good as they are. So in my first floor plan, you notice I didn't create any step down for any of them. I placed all of them exactly on the same level. All right, so we're gonna do this for this 4.4, and there we go. So we have all those placed in perfectly in there. So we've placed our spot elevation. Now one more thing you are supposed to show on your plan. All right, what you're supposed to show is the floor finishes. All right, so most architects usually show their floor finishes. All right, so what you can do is you can show your floor finish in each and every space. So in each and every space, you can just write it down there, 600 by 600 porcelain tile finish. You can just write it small. You can decrease the text copy and just place it in there. Make sure it's some small text. It's just a small text, and just indicate all those in each and every space in there. Just indicate it in each and every space with the floor finishes. By my case, I'm not going to show my floor finishes. I'm going to leave it as it is. I think my client will decide on that by he or she herself. She's going to decide that. So we can head back into the first floor plan. We've placed in our spot elevations, which is perfect. Now one more thing, guys. So usually the furnitures and all these items, all right, all these plumbing fixtures and all these other items you see on plan, all right, you would want to keep them on a half tone, all right, on a very shaded line width. You don't want them to stand out as dark as they are. All right, so what you can do is you can head straight into the visibility graphics by hitting on VG on your keyboard, and this is view specific. All right, it works just for the view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to half tone my generic models. I'm sure I have furnitures. The furnitures, I'm going to do the same, EF, and all my furniture I'm going to put it on half tone, and generic models also on half tone, and furniture systems also on half tone. And what else are we going to put on half tone? I think let's just do this and let's see what's happening. All right, so you see we have all our beds on half tone, all of them on half tone. Plumbing fixtures, so this, we don't want them standing out as dark as they are. We want our walls to stand out. All right, we want those walls to stand out in the design. We don't want the furnitures to also conflict with that, so we want to put all of them on half tone so they don't really show in there, but you see them in there perfectly. So VG again, I'm going to address all those plumbing fixtures. So let's head down, let's make sure we find our plumbing fixtures. Nope, we don't want our railings on half tone. Of course we want them to show. So plumbing fixtures, hit on apply, hit on escape. So you notice they are now on half tone. So with this, This is an Enscape model I brought in myself, so I'm just going to halftone that by going to override by graphics and just putting that on halftone, and there we go. So we'd want to do the same thing for the ground floor as well. So VG on our keyboard, VG, and then we make sure we find all those furniture generic models, and let's head straight into plumbing fixtures. Let's head straight in there. Let's place all those things on halftone and hit on apply, hit on OK. This is an Enscape model, like I said. I'm going to place it on halftone manually by myself, so it's on halftone now. So we have all our items on plan on halftone. We don't want them conflicting with our dimensions and other stuffs in there, so it's perfect. We have all those in there as well. Now we are done with our first floor and also done with the ground floor as well. So now we are going to head straight into our elevation. So I'm going to start with this elevation to right here, with this elevation marker right here. I'm going to start with that elevation marker. Alright, so what we are going to do now in this elevation is we are just going to do a lot of line works in there. We are going to be doing a lot of line works. Let me open the section BB out. Alright, so we are going to be doing a lot of line work in our space right here. So yes, so we are going to start off by working in here. We are going to place in some stuff. We are going to draw in and representing everything we see in there. So I'm going to start actually with this section right here. I'm going to start with this section. So I'm going to start off with this section. I'm going to start placing in some stuff in there for this section. I'm going to start. So now what I'm going to start to do now is I'm going to show my floor slabs. All right, you would have to represent all your floor slab with a solid black hatch. All right, that's what we use to show a floor slab. That is the hatch we use to show a floor slab. All right, whether it's reinforced or it's mass concrete, you make sure you show that with a solid black hatch. So that is what we are going to do. We are going to show our floor slabs right now. So you have to go straight into annotate, and then you go into the region tab, and we have the solid black hatch in there, which is perfect. And our floor slab is going to be 150. So we would fix that problem. We are going to make that floor slab 150. So we will fix that. So let's just bring it to the end of this wall in here. Just click on this, and then we change this to 150, input 150 in there, and we are perfect. And let's just move this to touch with the outside wall. All right, so we select that and finish that. So we've shown our floor slab over here. We've shown that floor slab in there. We have to show the floor slab also for the first floor as well. We'd have to do that. So let's get back in there, solid black hatch, and we'll draw that in there as well. I want it to come all the way out to this piece right there. So click on that, and you can change this over here, input 150, so it's 150 precisely, and we finish that out of the way. So we've shown our floor slabs in there, and what we are supposed to show once again is our beams, our lintel beams, and all those other stuff. We are supposed to show them in there as well, and all the columns in there, our structural elements. All right, but first of all, I'm going to place in an earth hatch. All right, you have to place in an earth hatch in your design. So we'll head straight into the region in there, and when we head straight into the region, we'd have to get into the edit type. Let me just cancel that out of the way. Select any of those crosshatch, edit type, duplicate it. You can call this your earth hatch. All right, we can call this earth hatch, and we'll have to check our hatch. All right, we'll have to change it. This is our earth hatch in there. Let me head into model. Let me see what they have. All right, drafting. So let's place in our earth hatch. This is it. Let me get back in there. Let me make the scale about 0.8, which is perfect. Hit on apply, hit on OK. So I'm going to draw that hatch in there. So you just have to pick in that line, and I'm going to change escape, and I'm going to change that to invisible line. I want it to have an invisible line at the end over there. So okay, so let me just delete that out of the way. I forgot I'm supposed to use the spline tool. All right, I just have to use the spline tool. So I can just click on that, make sure I select my spline tool, and there we go. So we can put it in there, and perfect. So we have the earth in there, so we just have to check our crop region to place that in there as well. Nope, Control Z, and there we go. So we have our earth hatch in there. Most people usually make it like a box. All right, I don't want mine looking like a box. I want it to have all this curvature at the end over there. All right, I don't want mine looking like a box or like that. I can edit boundary. I can move this out a little bit, move this here, move this out a little bit, and just put it in there. So there we go. So we've created our earth hatch in there. So we have the earth hatch in there. And one more thing, our room tags are also supposed to show in here. So make sure you go into tag or get into the tag, door and window, hit on apply, hit on OK, and then we have to also place in our room names. All right, we don't know what those spaces are called, so just move it in there and just place it in there. This is our circulation area, so we are just placing in all those room tags in there. So we just place this in there. We have a balcony also in here as well, and we have this also in here, dining area, and our bedroom one. So escape out of there. So we've placed those in there, and also our furniture and all other stuff are supposed to also be grayed out in this design. So we are supposed to also gray them out, keep them on a half tone. All right, the furniture layouts as well. So VG on your keyboard and make sure you head straight into furniture. We have the furniture over here, half tone, half tone, half tone, and the same thing for our plumbing fixtures as well. We just have to do that for our plumbing fixtures. So half tone, hit on apply, hit on OK, and this is not going to be a half tone because I have to do that manually by myself. Hit on apply, hit on OK, and there we go. So we've placed that in there, and I think I have to do the same thing for this as well, and half tone, just half tone it for me. All right, so there we go. So we've placed that on half tone. We can do the same thing for our windows by putting them on half tone, but I prefer leaving them as dark as they are, so it can tell when you see on plan window 2, this is what it's looking like in the inside. All right, so I kind of like leave that as it is. So I'm going to represent all my lintel beams in my space right now. I'm going to show all those lintel beams in all of those spaces. I'm going to show all of them. So I'm going to start off, just head into there, select my solid black 2 hatch I created. I'm going to push that up a little bit, and then I'm going to give this 300 in there, so as the lintel beam. So we have that in there. Nope, just select that and we can copy. So anywhere you see or you see on plan that looks like your door or your window has been cut, all right, you make sure you show your lintel beam right on top of it. So this window has been cut and I'm showing that right on top of it. This door also here has been cut, I'm showing that right on top of it. This also has been cut and I'll have to represent that also right on top of it. This also here has been cut and I'll have to represent that on top of it. And lastly here also has been cut and you have to represent that also on top of it. So escape that out of the way. So we've seen that that also has been cut and we've placed in our lintel beams. We can just drag this in here a little. You can just drag those in there a little, and what you can also do is, let's just get in here, let's see what we have in there. They are also in there perfectly, and now we'll have to show our beams. So we can just select those dark hatches, again. We'd have to show our beams over there as well. We have to show them, and we'd have to put them right somewhere here on each and every wall. We'd have to show those beams in there, right? So we can put this in here, and finally we can put that also in here as well, and we can put one in here. and we head straight to the top, and we can place those ones also in there as well. So we can place this here, and we have to show the beam also for this side. We'd have to show the beam also for these areas as well. So let's just place in for these areas. Make sure it's up a little bit, up above the ceiling level, and right there. And you have to do the same thing for this area as well. And we would have to also show this floor slab. It deserves a hatch. We would have to represent it by a hatch. So make sure you get into the architecture tab, run straight into the annotate, get into region. When you head straight into region, we have to put in a solid hack. I'm going to change that, put that on thin lines, and I'll have to represent that hatch in there. I'll have to show that hatch in that space right there. So I can put that in there, solid black, which is perfect, solid black. And you have to do the same solid black as well for all those block work all coming up. So this block work is to be able to collect water from this inclined roof, all the water dropping in this area. So if we should put the roof exactly on the floor slab, the water is going to seep under there and head into the building. So you need a block wall of about 450 going up, which is going to preserve the water in that area, and then it's going to be collected by a floor drain outside there. All right, so we just have to take that and make that black as well. So we are good to go. We've represented all those floor slabs. So we have to put a beam also at the top over here. You have to put a beam also here as well. So just put a dark hatch on the parapet wall, at the top of the parapet wall over there. We need a beam there as well. So I can just copy this and just come and place this right there. Okay, so we have one also in there as well, which is beautiful. I can just move this to whatever I want. The structural engineer is probably going to give us all those details. So we have that in there. We've placed in our beams, placed in all those beams. And one more thing, we need to show that our wall is being, our wall has the, we need to show that our wall is being cut. All right, so when you cut a wall, the graphical representation is supposed to have diagonal lines. All right, when you look on the ground floor, you're going to see all those diagonal lines in there, which shows that it has been cut. All right, you see on the first floor, I was able to do that, show that it has been cut. So let's head into the section. Let's do the same thing. So VG on our keyboard. When we head straight into VG on our keyboard, what we have to do is we have to go and run and find our walls. All right, make sure you find wall. When you find wall, it's going to be the cut. All right, so we have to add a pattern to it. So we just have to make sure we find diagonal. So this is the one I think I was using, 1.5, which is perfect. Hit on apply, hit on OK. So now you see our wall showing that it has been cut. All right, so we have all those in there, and we'd have to represent our hardcore feeling as well. So we'd have to do all those hardcore feeling in that space. So I'm going to be doing that now. Head straight into architecture, annotate, change that, get to diagonal crosshatch. Let me see what that diagonal crosshatch is. All right, so this will be perfect for this, to show the hardcore feeling in there, which is perfect. Hit on OK. Let's just draw that in there. So this is supposed to come all the way in here, which is perfect. And then this can move all the way also here as well. This can move all the way here. We have a wall, a footing coming over there, so we are not going to do anything there. So we are not going to put in to cross. All right, so perfect. So we have all those hardcore hatches. That's our hardcore feeling. All right, it's usually 450. So let me just measure that to see what we have in there. So it's exactly 450. It's just that the hatch, it didn't pick from the hatch itself. So exactly 450. All right, see, it's exactly 450. So we have that in there. We've created all those also stuff in there. Let me just bring this down a little bit. Perfect. So we've done all those touches. Now what we are supposed to do now is to just show our ceiling hangers and our ceiling noggins. All right, but I want to do all all these things we have done in here, I want to do the same thing for section AA. So I want to go back into section AA and do all these graphical representations in there for section AA before we start placing in our ceiling hangers and ceiling noggins in our design. All right, so let's head straight into section AA. So we are in section AA now. We'd have to do all those touches, all those works. It's not really any work, we can do that now. We can do that. So with this timber wood, these things, this wood design I have in there, I want them all ending on the ceiling level. All right, I want them to end on the ceiling. I want them to end on the ceiling level right there, which is perfect. So we have that design going all the way up there to the first floor. It's very beautiful. So this is the 450 I was talking about. So on the ground floor, you notice here was 600, the spot height, and then we have here 450, which is a step down. All right, so the floor slab in there is stepped down. So let's hatch all those floor slabs to represent all those stuff. So solid black 2, head in here and just place it in there. Just bring it somewhere here, bring it to the end over there. So it's exactly 450, I guess, and push this here to cover that wall. So we have that in there. Edit boundary, let me just select that to see what we have in there. Let me just select this. It's 450. All right, so we are good to go. So the same thing, head back into the region tab and just bring this also here. Make sure it's 150. All right, the floor slab thickness is 150. Make sure it's 150. You are placing in there. Just you can move this here a little bit. So we have that representing that. So we have a step down over here, 450 in here. So we are going to represent all those spot elevations also in our sections. All right, we are going to represent that in our section. So DL on my keyboard. Let me just do a little bit of line work job over here. Some things seem not to appear as they should, so I'm just doing some small line works. I'd have to use the paint. I'll have to take the paint by drawing all those stuff myself manually. All right, there's nothing wrong by drawing them manually. All right, so I just drew them manually by myself in those spaces right there. So the same thing like what we did to section BB, would have to do the same thing. And even here we are supposed to show our footings. All right, we're supposed to show all those footings coming all the way down. We'll do that. We'll do all those jobs. We'll do all those jobs. So let's head into section AA. Let's just show our floor slab and just click right here, just click right there, and let's just show our floor slab coming all the way here. And let's check if it's 150. It's exactly 150, so we can tick that to finish that out of the way. So we are supposed to show our tags as well, so just head straight into the tag and select your doors and windows. So we have all our tags showing, and definitely our furnitures and all those stuffs, we are supposed to keep them on a halftone too. We just have to keep them on a halftone. All right, we don't want them standing in contrast with all those other stuff in there, so just keep them all in halftone. Let's just keep them all in halftone. So with this railing, nope, let's just keep plumbing fixtures, equipment, and there we go. So we kept all of those stuff on halftone. So let's just show our beams and all those stuff now. Let's just show our beams. So here's a floor slab actually. All right, so we want to represent that floor slab. So we are doing a lot of line work by ourselves inside here. So the REVIT is not going to perform the magic by showing you all that. If you model the building properly, you should be able to get that. All right, so we are going to do the beam also for this portion. Have to represent our beam, show our beams in that portion as well. So we have that beam in there. We can just copy and bring this down here to just show our beams. All right, you have to show all those beams in your section, otherwise your section would not be complete. The section would not be complete. All right, so we have to put all those stuff. So I told you guys, if you see anything like your window being cut or something, you have to make sure you place in a lintel beam, give it a beam right on top of it. You have to give it a lintel beam right on top of it. So if you see anything like your window being cut, all right, so you'd have to make sure you put in those beams in there. And also we have one in here, so I'm going to start placing in those beams. I'm going to start, just move this here, and I'm going to move this here as well. I'm going to move this here, and I'm going to start placing in those lintel beams for the other side. I want to pick it from the down so that I can get that point. All right, that's why I didn't place it for this piece, so I can get that point. So I can select this and just move it in there, move it also in there, and it aligns perfectly. Beautiful. So we are good to go. And our parapet level, guys, don't forget our parapet level, we are supposed to place that in there as well. So let's just place in some beams in there, our parapet level, and let's just place one more in here. So we have all those in there as well, all this on halftone. This is our ceiling. We'd have to now show our ceiling hangers and all those other stuff. We'd have to show all of them in there. So now I want to show our earth. We'd have to represent our earth. All right, we have to show our earth. So let's just start by actually doing, no, let me just select the earth first, earth hatch, and we can select that. Make sure you select straight line, and like I usually do, I'll select invisible line, then I'll pick the spline tool. After picking the spline tool, I'm going to draw something like some round stuff. I want it to look a little bit artistic. All right, I don't want it to have all this box that everyone usually has in there, which is perfect. So we have our section in there and our earth. Now I want to show our hardcore feeling. All right, so where is that hardcore feeling? I think we use the diagonal cross hatch. I'm not going to use invisible lines anymore. I'm going to use medium. All right, so in there, and then I'm going to drag this all the way here, and I'm also going to drag this all the way also here as well, and I'm going to finish that out of the way. So we've shown our hardcore feeling. Now our staircase are supposed to have they are supposed to have a solid hatch. All right, a solid dark hatch, solid black hatch, to show the concrete. It means it's being cut. That is if only it has been cut. All right, let me just get back into the ground floor. Let me see. So it definitely cuts through there. It definitely cuts through that staircase. So we have to create a hatch for it. All right, so guys, make sure you always save your project. It's very, very important. Just hit on the Control S on your keyboard to save. So get back to solid black. So since our staircase over there has been cut by a section line, we need to represent it by a solid black hatch. All right, to show that it has been cut in there. So we can just draw that in there. So this staircase has been cut, which we have represented in our space right there. So it's beautiful. We are good to go. We need to place one more beam in here. We need to place one more beam in here as well. A beam comes in here, and we are good to go. We just have to now place in our ceiling hangers and noggins, and we have to label all those stuff in our sections. All right, and our elevation markers are also supposed to show in our sections. We'll treat that. They are not showing in here. We'll have to pull them in there to kind of get it in there. They are not showing in here as well, so we'll solve that problem very soon. So we have all our section AA, and we have section BB also here as well. Now when we head straight into the roof beam level, all right, I'd want you guys to actually duplicate the view. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to duplicate the view with detailings. So I've duplicated the view in there. So I have the view 1 and view this other view in there. What I'm going to do is, since in one of our roof plan we are supposed to show the aluminium sheet, and in the other roof plan we are supposed to show the roof purlins and rafters. We are supposed to show all those purlins and rafters. I kind of modeled out those purlins and rafters in there, so I'm going to use the roof beam copy that I created. So I'm going to use this as a copy to show all my roof rafters and purlins. All right, so I'm going to do that now. I'm going to show that in there. So I'm going to hide this out on my view. I'm going to hide this EH. I'm going to hide that in my view, and I'm going to bring out my purlins and rafters, slope glazing 3. All right, so let me head into the section. Let me select this. Let me head into the section and select this. And make sure it's my slope glazing 2. I'm sure it's my slope glazing 2. Nope. Just Control Z out of there. Cancel. just Control Z out of there, just select any of those and head back into the copy. Headed back into the copy in there, roof beam to the copy. I'm going to lift that up a little bit. I'm going to leave that up a little bit. So head to section, selected. I'm going to leave that up a little bit, up a little bit. So I'm just lifting that up a little bit so we can actually see. All right, so it's the roof beam 2 that I'm supposed to copy, raise them up a little bit. So let's put this down. We can move this down, move them down, and we can actually select this one. All right, yes, it's the 2 I'm supposed to copy to raise up, because that's what I use for my purlins and rafters. So I'm going to lift those ones up. I'm going to lift it up a little bit. And I'm going to bring the 3 down. All right, I'm going to bring the roof purlin 3. This is the 2. So you see it's showing in there in my space. All right, we have the purlins and the rafters showing in there. You see that it's conflicting. It's actually conflicting with the roof. All right, EH to hide that, Control Z. Nope. So we have our purlins and rafters in there in those spaces. I'll work on that to actually get the purlins and rafters coming up very perfectly. So we have also the roof beam also here as well, but what I'm going to do now at the meantime is I'm going to delete that. So guys, I'm actually just going to leave that as it is. I'm going to leave that as it is. So I'm going to head straight into section BB and then just bring that down. Make sure I select the slope glazing 3. I'm going to pull that down. I'm going to pull that down a little bit in there, and also select this as well, slope glazing 3, and then just pull that also down a little bit. Pull that down a little bit in there to have in the space over there. So I'm going to head straight into my roof plan. So you see my purlins and rafters are also showing with the aluminium roofing sheets. All right, so I'll work on that and we'll fix that and we'll be able to do our roof plan perfectly. So we're done with our section, placing everything graphical wise. We've done representing everything in there. We'll have to represent all those footings as well, but we'll do that in the next video. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. We'll be completing our series very soon and we'll move on to the next series on what we'll be doing here on YouTube. So make sure you like and subscribe. I hope you guys found this video very interesting. Peace out.